Hey everybody, it's that time again. Jim Messina here with VintageDrumsTalk.com. It's showtime, as you can see behind me. This is the Chicago Vintage and Custom Drum Show. It's all happening. It's Saturday. Show's been open an hour maybe or so. It's looking really good. We walked around the floor. A lot of vintage stuff, which is what we're going to be bringing to you today. Okay? So come on with us. Let's go. Let's have the show. It's that time of year. It's getting ready for the show. It's 1 week out. Jim Messina here, Vintage Drums Talk, along with Ken Junta, my good buddy, Reverend Ken Junta, owner of Ace Music, and he bought the 13th Sleeger Little Black Beauty. Remember that? Well, I want to show you his store. Ken's got this store. He's had it for how many years now, Ken?
6 years.
6 years. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, Brad.
He was going to go to the show with me, but he couldn't make it because he's got so much business going on around here. Look, he's got tons of stuff, and it's ready waiting for you, okay? He's on our website. Go check out Ace Drums. Go in the links section and check it out. You can see a lot of cool stuff that he's got. You got Ludwig, Rogers, all the vintage stuff that you could possibly want. Just got a new cool Gretsch set in the right finish. What is it, Midnight Blue? I think that's what it is, isn't it? All right. He's also got a lug up there with some drum up there with some Zephyr lugs on it, 30s, but a lot of used stuff. He's got a beautiful twin strainer Ludwig from the 30s in the back there. But he gets this stuff in all the time, contacts me all the time. He's been a good friend and a good guy in the vintage drum community. So guys, check it out. Ace Drums at VintageDrumsTalk.com. All right, Ken.
Have a good trip.
Hey. Ladies and gentlemen, JC Messina here for Vintage Drums Talk at the Chicago Vintage and Custom Drum Show with none other than Les Demerle, my hero.
What a pleasure to be here with you.
Les, that was a fantastic role, I'll tell you. You know, I have seen you many times, even before I came to this show.
Thank you.
Guys, I've been trying to interview Les for years, but finally we're sitting down, we're in the upper mezzanine here at the show, and Les has got his booth set up. He's doing some great things, great chops. Are you still down in Florida, Les?
Yeah, we're in Amelia Island. My wife and I, Bonnie. You know, Bonnie just came up.
Now you know the way I actually know Les is we met at the Ritz-Carlton in Florida, in Naples, Florida.
Naples, Florida, right.
I was playing in the band there, and Les and Bonnie were coming in to do the next 2-week stint, I think it was.
Yeah, actually, we did almost 3 months there.
Oh yeah.
We did a long session. Yeah. Anyway, I remember. Yeah,
it was a long time ago. But anyways, we got a couple of pads set up here, and I've always been amazed. When I saw Les at the Ritz-Carlton, he sits down, he was messing around with the snare drum, you know, going crazy, and then he hands me the sticks. Oh, let me see your chops. I go, oh my God. So we had a good time, but I've always been so impressed with your rudimentary style. It reminds me, I'm telling you, of the Moeller method, you know.
Yeah, sure.
That I never really did master, but from a teaching standpoint, if you had someone like me as a student, and I came in, now guys, you know, over the years, I've had these deformities. You know, I was born with this, okay? And there's something wrong with my left hand too. But Les, if you had someone like me, would you? How would you approach teaching someone like me?
Well,
what would you do?
You still have your the connection, so that's all you need.
Yeah, and that's what I do.
Yeah, and basically, you know, the main thing, especially with the left hand, is to have a good fulcrum and also know finger control. If you're going to play traditional grip, you have to know how to get that bounce and let the drum head do the work for you. See, right now I'm just playing a downstroke, and my rebound note is coming from the head. See, just like this.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you can hold the mic a second, I'll show you this.
Sure. Here we go.
I'm going to play a series of threes.
What control? What control?
Those are three strokes.
I like that. Now with me, like you said, it's funny. I'm, right-handed.
Right, yeah.
But because of the deformity,
Yeah.
I do this. It's just a natural thing.
Right, right.
And because this hand does not turn over because of
Right.
its limitations,
Yeah.
it's just natural that I would,
Yeah,
that
sure.
would
Yeah,
be the
yeah,
downward.
sure. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've been getting along all my life
Yeah,
that
cool,
way, and I
cool. Yeah.
I'll tell you,
Oh, first of all, that'll be $25 for the lesson. It'll be $25. for
pay
the
the man, Chris. Pay the man, Chris. Yes. Hi. So you're going to be here the whole weekend?
The
or
whole
what?
weekend, yeah. Let me give you the update of what we're doing.
Let's hear it.
Bonnie and I produced the Amelia Island Jazz Festival in
I've
Amelia
seen
Island,
that, yeah.
Florida. And every year we bring in some of the greatest names in jazz. So if you're down our way, please come up and do an interview there. This year we're bringing in Janice Siegel from the Manhattan Transfer.
Great.
And Bonnie will be singing with our bands. And then she's coming in with a great Latin trio, a Brazilian trio called Hikenche Trio. And then I've got Henry Johnson from Chicago,
Okay.
jazz guitar player, sounds like George Benson, headlining on Friday night. And then there's all sorts of things in the schools and free concerts and brunches, and so we work on that all year round. And I'm doing a lot of teaching, and I want to get as many Skype lessons as I possibly can. So if I may, let me give you my email. If anybody
Please
out
do,
there
and I'll
wants
put
to
it
get
up on
with
the
me,
screen.
it's ldmm@bellsouth.net, like Les Demerle Music at bellsouth.net.
All right.
And and then here, Famularo is one of my former students.
I've seen him years ago.
In the
He said did a
70s,
nice clinic.
In the 70s, I had the honor to teach him, and now he's got all my gigs, and I hate him.
He's talking about Dom Famularo, who
He's
is
gonna start
Mr.
in a minute.
Fast Feet, they call it. They used to say he had
that's right.
fast feet.
Yeah.
I never did master a double bass drum,
Yeah.
but then again, I'm not Louis Belson, so
Yeah.
I don't try.
There's
to.
only one Louis.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I want you to have a great show,
Thank
and
you.
I'm honored to speak with
Thank
you,
you
Les.
so much.
Guys,
Thank you.
Les Demerle, lovely
See you
Bonnie
guys.
over there. Don't forget about Bonnie. We're going to see him next year. Don't forget Amelia Island. This festival's going on. They had the whole thing up, guys. Look it up on their
Come on
website,
in, Bon,
okay?
jump in with me. Let's get one shot with Bonnie before
Yes, sir.
Here we go.
All
Can
right.
you get that on camera?
Sure, we got it.
All right.
Everybody, this is the first interview of the day, Vintage Drums Talks. Jim Messina, glad to be here. Thank you both,
Thank you,
Bonnie and
Jim.
Les. All right. There it is. Very,
one.
very nice. Very nice. Hey, you guys, I've hit it big. I think I'm going to put some Kiss makeup on and check out this crazy, wacky set. This is pretty cool. Behind me here is Billy Baker. Good to meet you, my friend.
Hey man, nice to meet you.
Yes,
really
sir.
good to meet you.
Are you responsible for this set, or can you tell me something about this fantastic set?
This is a replica of the 1975 Kiss Alive tour kit. It was the exact same size fiberglass shells that Peter Criss used on the 1975 tour. I had to, the hardest part was finding the actual material to actually do the drums. Once that was found, then it was, I started with the smallest drum to see if it was actually possible, and after I did the drum, then it was on. I just couldn't stop. I had to do the entire kit.
You know, I wasn't even going to come down this aisle, but I saw these and said, wait a minute, there's something different about those. Those aren't steel. Those are
Fiberglass drum with actual 5mm by 5mm pieces of glass.
Yes. This is a terrific job, Billy, I'm telling you, man. So are you like, is this going to be a thing for you, drum building or what?
You know, at first it was just a challenge. I wanted to see if I could do it.
Yeah.
And I loved this kit since I was a kid. So I just had to do it. And once I did it, I don't know. I could possibly do another. Finding the shells proves to be a little difficult because they're from the 70s. They're fiberglass shells, and they're a little bit hard to find.
What was the finish before?
Mirror ball?
No, what was the finish?
Oh, they were all different.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, all different finishes. I just stripped them, made sure they're all sanded down, and then started applying the mirror.
Yeah, I had the wood fiber ones. They call it.
Yeah.
They're pretty loud. They're very interesting.
Yeah, they have a very unique sound. The concert toms have been proved to have come back pretty popular in the past couple of years, and I don't know. I just always loved this kit since I was a kid, and I just wanted to replicate it.
Well, you certainly completed your job because it's really the effect is beautiful, man.
Thank you. The kit now actually belongs to Eric Singer from Kiss.
There you go.
So after the drum show, it will be taken down to Nashville. We'll be dropped off at Pearl and shipped to Eric.
That's terrific. Well, hey, there's always something interesting at this Chicago Vintage and Custom Drum Show. Jim Messina, along with Billy Baker.
Hey, man, nice to meet you.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll be back. Vintage Drums Talk once again, coming to you from the Vintage and Custom Drum Show in Chicago. We're here with Mike Corrado again. You know, Mike, good to see you, my friend. A great description of those drums, I'll tell you.
Thanks.
I always like to go to the authority.
My pleasure.
But, you know, this year, once again, I want to reiterate that, you know, the vintage drum community is small, but it's tight. You know, we've got a group of collectors here that have kind of stuck together, and we trade together and we help each other. Well, we lost a brother this year, Tony Lewis. Okay, the whole show is dedicated to Tony Lewis, and I'd like to get your take, because you knew Tony, didn't you?
For about 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, here's a Mike Corrado with, he knows a million collectors, but there was something special about Tony, wasn't there?
Yeah, he always gave me a call. You know, I've bought probably 7-8 drums from him over the years.
Is that right?
And really choice stuff I still own, so it's in the collection still. And he would call up and we'd talk about it. He'd send me photos, and we do it every time it was a fair deal. You know.
He always seemed like a happy guy, didn't he?
Yeah.
Even when he was sick.
Yeah.
He didn't let anybody really know. I mean, a few people know when the story spread, but I remember after I heard that, he still was the same. He put his arm around me, give me a big bear hug. I'll put some of those up. You'll see.
Yeah.
But with Mike, he's known Tony.
About almost 20 years.
Jeez,
yeah, almost 20 years.
The first time I met him was when I showed up at the club at the show with that Duncan sock pedal. Remember that year?
Yeah.
And Tony was the first one that said, "Hey, can I see that?" I go over to his booth, and he asked me who I am. I said, "Well, I represent the Southwest Florida Vintage Drum Museum." I felt I had to, you know.
Yeah.
And he was the nicest guy. He said, "Is that for sale?" And I said, "Not really. My brother just dropped it off." He says, "Well, let me know." And gosh, you're leading me on here. But he just has such a nice demeanor.
Yeah.
You know, and I just wish I knew him as long as you did.
Yeah, I know. I used to see him. His booth was right next to Mark Cooper's.
Right.
Yeah, and yeah, he's just a good guy. Always, you know, always honest. We always had fair deals. I always felt happy with the price I paid. Not worrying about if you got the drum for $5. Well, good for him. I feel happy with the deal we made.
Well, the whole show is dedicated to Tony, and so is our show. You know, Vintage Drums Talk, and the whole vintage drum community wishes his family well, and
Actually, I could put one more thing in.
go right ahead.
Just for a plug to help his wife out.
Yeah.
Don Bennett's handling the estate as far as all the drums and the memorabilia.
Okay.
So people know Don Bennett. I think it's donbennettdrums.com in Seattle.
I'll get that
and
up,
they,
yeah.
there'll be maybe some choice stuff people can buy, and that'll help Lily out. To get rid of some stuff.
I'm glad you told me that. Okay, now you hear that, you guys? Tony's, got some good stuff. So now's your chance, and you'll be helping people out. Okay. So on behalf of the whole vintage drum community and this show and Vintage Drums Talk, we love you, Tony. Rest in peace, my friend. Okay. Well, what can I say? 25th anniversary Chicago Vintage and Custom Drum Show 2015. Here I am, as promised, with Tony Lewis.
Hey!
He's pulling out the stops, man. As everybody else, Tony, good to see you, my friend. I love it being here with you because you always bring some primo things. Look at this. I don't know where to start. You got a favorite drum here?
Well, let's actually start with these two right here.
Right here.
Yeah. These, John Aldridge here back in the late 90s. He was working with Slingerland. These are two of his products here when he was working with Slingerland. Both brass, one's copper, one's brass, hand engraved by the master, John Aldridge.
Yeah, he really has made a name for himself with the engraving, hasn't he?
Yeah, and not only did he engraving, but the knowledge as well. The man literally wrote the book. I mean, we got to pay homage to John. There's a whole lot of us here.
Rob Cook, they were the forerunner, the pioneers. So
they laid the foundation.
Look, can I tilt this up here?
Absolutely.
Boy, now these are that's heavy. Sheesh. We have a nice price tag. First day of the show, guys. Look at this. Oh, okay. Look at this lovely engraving. That is beautiful. Now, what year was this?
Late 90s, 2000.
Okay. Let's see if we can see inside. Just beautiful. Now these drums, look, he's got his initials. John has a way of, kind of putting a signature on the inside. I don't know if your cameras could pick that up, but this is really cool. Beautiful. John's making a name for himself, really, with his drums. And he's doing a lot of commission work? I don't know if he's doing stuff for
Well, he's actually on tour right now, last I knew.
Oh, yeah.
And John Aldridge, we miss you. We miss you at these shows, John.
Very nice. All
right, this is actually number 4 or 5. And
look
this
at
is
this.
Actually,
it's signed, John. There you go.
And this is actually number 1 of 4 right here. The copper
talk about rare. It's funny, in Mike Corrado's book, remember his book that he put on his car? Well, he talks about future collectibles.
There it is.
That's what you're looking at, a future. Look, number 1, John Aldridge, signed by John Aldridge, number 1 future collectible. This is primo, man.
If you think about it too, an engraved Slingerland brass drum. I mean, we all know the Slingerland Black Beauty. Well, this is probably the closest you're going to come to it in real time. Yeah. To be quite honest with you.
Well, think 60 years from now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Kids are going to be looking at these and man, you had,
right.
Really, I mean.
They're going to be like, Dad, I love you.
Yeah. All right, here we go. I recognize this. Tell me about this.
This is an original top hat and cane, 1940s. Originals, not a remake. It's the real deal.
Because they put these out. Who was it that had the that they modeled it after? They did when they did the reissues.
Right. Jack Lawton was doing it for a while.
Yes.
And I'm not sure who else is
doing it. This is original. Look at the shape that this is in.
Well, this drum's in exceptionally good condition. If you look at the hardware, even to the calfskin head, you've got the Ludwig logo with the cow.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't find that's the type of stuff.
Nothing's been touched on this. You just cleaned it up.
Just cleaned it up. Actually, this drum belongs to Don Bennett, the Don Bennett Studios. He actually has the entire kit. And Mr. Bennett will be here later this afternoon.
Right, we'll be talking to him.
Yep. So
this is beautiful.
Now, but do
you own this?
No, this is actually Don's.
This is fantastic. It's hard to find these in original without any flaws in the finish. That pattern.
Cracking, it's a nice drum.
Now, a lot of people call this, top hat and cane. I don't know who coined that, but it's really what, the top hat?
Well, they call it actually the catalog in 1941 says top hat and cane.
Oh, it does. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Beautiful. This is just beautiful. Now, Tony, I'll tell you, this is some nice stuff you brought. You've been at this show for how many years now?
Oh, gosh.
out of 25 years.
I'd say probably at least 17 out of the 25.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you were here years ago. You've seen the changes that how this show has grown, right?
That's correct.
We were in a smaller building before here at the Kane County Fairgrounds in St. Charles, Illinois, and then we moved into this newer building, and I understand there's going to be yet another change next year. The show, I believe, is moving. I'm sure you're aware of it. I'd like to get your take on how you think the show is progressing, what has happened since you've been here for so long. And here we go, going to move into what, some big expo center with combining with the guitar show that goes on around this same time. Where do you think this show is heading? What's going on? What do you think?
Well, it's interesting because, like you said, we were in a very small area. And the profile of this show has changed twofold. I mean, we went to industry. We have industry now here, such as some of the major players that are commercial industry. And we still have some of the mom and pop, the homeboys like me.
Yeah.
You know, the ones who do this as a hobby. You know, we were just talking about this. Mike Corrado and I were just talking about this last night over Steve Maxwell's, where we missed the days where someone would pull up in a van and they're like, hey, you want to buy some drums? And there's all these really cool drums in there. But moving forward, I personally think it's a good idea. I mean, Rob Cook, you know, we have to look at his leadership. And Rob has literally single-handedly built this. Well, and Rob Cook, John Aldridge, like we mentioned before.
Yeah.
You know, Bill Ludwig, of course we got to pay homage to Ludwig because a lot of this is their foundation.
Yeah.
But we have to trust Rob Cook's leadership. And if he thinks it's the best idea to move closer to the city, yeah, I've been hearing that the Expo Center is going to be closer to Chicago. That can feed from a major city. You know,
Closer to the airport.
Closer to the airport, which I've already heard compliments of that regarding as far as travel and convenience. As far as combining with the guitar show, the guitar collectors is a different breed than the drum collectors.
Yeah.
You know, that I don't know about because truly it's like, you know, it's like an elephant and a duck.
Yeah.
You know, there's no, you know, it's like two different breeds there.
Right, and as far as I've noticed in the several years that I've been covering the show, that the vintage factor is hanging in there, but I see the custom factor growing. I mean, this year in the center of the facility here, we have a whole array of booths out there now where they were never there before. A lot of custom companies are coming in here. And some people would say that, well, it's not a vintage drum show anymore. It's becoming more like a general drum show, almost like the NAMM show, something like that. But we're
yeah. Well, you know, I can see, you know, I think for some of us old timers, some of us grassroots individuals, you know, we have seen the evolution and how the show has grown. But one thing too, if you notice in Rob's advertisement, it says vintage and custom.
Yes.
Rob's a smart guy.
Yeah.
So he opens the door to the drum maker in the basement who's building them from scratch, to the collector like myself, and Corrado's and Mark Cooper, you know, and then he also leaves the door open for the industry. So it's a big melting pot, you know, for us all to be able to enjoy.
Very good. You heard it from Tony Lewis. There's his opinion. He's a top collector. What a guy. Tony, always a pleasure being here with you at the show.
Oh, and always seeing you too.
We'll probably see you next year at the new venue.
Yes.
Look for us, guys. Take care. Tony Lewis. Are you kidding us?